Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Gids. Thank you for joining me for today's fragrance review. So, very excited. I have a fragrance to review here. This is one which I won recently in a giveaway from one of my favorite niche houses, probably my favorite niche house. This is Dries Van Noten by Frederic Malle, and I'm going to talk all about this fragrance and kind of give you my thoughts. I've been wearing it for the last few weeks and it's kind of given me a few weeks to kind of get my thoughts together about the fragrance because I've really been enjoying this beautiful fragrance. Now, this fragrance was launched in 2013. It's a collaboration between the Belgian designer Dries Van Noten and perfumer Bruno Jovanovic. What Frederic Malle do, which is so great, is they really celebrate their perfumers, and they were the first sort of brand to really put the perfumers front and center in a lot of the marketing. Often perfumers are kind of in the background and people don't really know about them unless you're really into fragrance and you really research. But most people don't know like what they look like, and often you don't know what the inspiration is behind the fragrance. But what's so great is often on the packaging you'll get all that information. Usually you get an illustration or an image of the perfumer as well. So let's get into the beautiful fragrance here. It comes out like this, really lovely. Now, this is a really interesting fragrance. Initially I thought, oh, it's a vanilla fragrance, which it is, but ultimately it's actually more of a fragrance which is built around the note of sandalwood. So sandalwood, I think, is the most important note in this fragrance. As you first smell it on your skin, so as I can smell it now, the fragrance opens up very spicy. So the first things that I can pick up is definitely the saffron in the fragrance and the patchouli, which are listed notes. I can also pick up some sort of cloves, cinnamon, that kind of vibe. So this is a very warm, spicy fragrance, which opens up very warm and spicy. Now, the vanilla in the fragrance is definitely there, and it's listed as one of the notes. There is sometimes a disparity about notes on different websites. On Fragrantica it lists more, on the Frederic Malle website it lists less. I think it lists patchouli, saffron, vanilla, sandalwood, jasmine and bergamot as the main notes in the fragrance, but I definitely pick up more. I definitely get like a cloves, even some sort of cinnamon, nutmeg kind of thing going on. I know some people have also said this has tonka bean as well in the fragrance, which definitely would be something that I think is likely because it has that kind of vanilla, warm cocoa kind of smell. What's really interesting as well is as this really develops on the skin, the spiciness kind of calms down a bit, but then there's this kind of milky vibe in the fragrance, which is really interesting. So there's a lot of people that describe this fragrance as being quite lactonic or milky or even buttery. And I definitely agree. I would say more milky than buttery, but it's almost like this spiced, warm sandalwood vanilla with some kind of creamy milkiness in it as well, which is really nice. I think the magic really happens on skin when you just kind of let it evolve and develop. It develops really beautifully, and some people have said it's kind of another version of Musk Ravageur, which is really interesting because Musk Ravageur is one of the fragrances for me which hasn't really worked. I need to kind of give that one another chance with the Frederic Malle line of fragrances. I've tried most of them, but I find Musk Ravageur didn't really work for me personally. I don't know, there was something in it which I just didn't vibe with. But with this one, it's such a lovely spiced, warm vanilla, which really gets a little bit sweeter the more that it lasts on the skin. It's really beautiful. It really is beautiful. I particularly have been wearing this fragrance in the evenings when I want to feel a bit more cozy and warm and comforted. It is quite comforting. It does feel almost like you're being hugged in the fragrance as it develops. Let's just put a little spray there. It just gets better and better the longer you wear the fragrance. I think if you're someone who's looking for quite a sweet vanilla, I don't think this is the one I would personally recommend. It's not a gourmandish vanilla. It's definitely not that kind of vanilla. It has more nuances. There's spiciness. There's the kind of sandalwood which supports the vanilla, and the sandalwood and the vanilla almost kind of merge into one, which is really nice. It's lovely. It really is lovely. In terms of its performance, like things like longevity, projection and sillage, it definitely performs well. However, with this one, it does, for me, in my opinion, sit closer to the skin. For the first sort of 45 minutes to an hour, I can smell it sort of around me. It does create this nice bubble around me. And then it keeps on going as it gets closer to the skin for about 6 hours, and then it kind of fades out. But I really, really like this fragrance. I'm really impressed with it. It's very, very unique, and it's not like anything else in my collection. It's really lovely. It's really lovely. The opening of the fragrance is very spicy, very, very spicy. But then you see, as it's drying down now on this one, on this wrist, all of the warmth and the spices just blend beautifully with that vanilla and that sandalwood. It really is beautiful. What I think is so nice about the Frederic Malle brand is each perfumer gets to create the fragrance that they really want to create, and I think that's brilliant. You know, a lot of the spices in this, like the saffron and the patchouli, I think Bruno was inspired by the work of Dries. I'm really into fashion, and Dries embraces a lot of color, a lot of texture. He used Indian motifs in, I think, one of his collections, and Bruno was really inspired by that, saw that and took inspiration and thought, oh, I could use, you know, that as inspiration. And then the Indian spices and stuff really is what was added to this fragrance. So it's a beautiful creation. It really, really is. I can imagine, you know, if you are having a cozy evening in with your significant other, or perhaps if you're going for dinner, or if you are going somewhere in the evening for a few hours, this type of fragrance would be so good for that. Really, really beautiful, really, really classy, and very, very unique. It's my lovely cozy evening fragrance. It makes me really happy, and I'm really enjoying it. That was my review of Dries Van Noten par Frederic Malle. I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have made it this far, then please do consider subscribing and supporting the channel. It would mean a lot to me, and I will see you in my next video. Take care, guys.